Well, good. Let's go ahead and jump in here. Just if you could give us a little bit of information on your background and kind of go from there.
Definitely. So I'm just a normal like mid actually that's untrue. I'm already starting off wrong. Like I'm abstract AF. Like I'm this Midwestern kind of black sheep dude that dabbles in just a little bit of everything because why not? It's fun to learn and fun to figure things out. In the video game side of worlds, I started like most people like myself with The Sims because The Sims, if you haven't played it, not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome. So I did creating for that, and that kind of like launched me in my creative endeavor through digital and also physical stuff. I do woodworking and cooking, lots of cooking, and just all sorts of other artistic sort of things. I got into, Decentraland a little bit later, and that's been super awesome. I'm just, pretty artistic and just kind of out there. It's far cry from my everyday job because I'm just a people leader, so not
Hmm.
super fancy or exciting or even artistic there. But you know what? It's a good job, good company, so I enjoy it.
It's good to have something great on the side to do
Oh, so
that
much.
could potentially turn into something full time.
100%. I mean, that's the dream. At least that's what people say the dream is. It's like, oh yeah, do something a little fun here, then like you keep doing a little bit more fun. Next thing you know, all you're doing is fun. You're making money with it. That's a huge plus. So I
Right?
don't know. It'd be cool one day for sure.
Could you give a little bit like early, like let's say start off about 5 years ago? What is
hmm
it that you were up to? And then we'll come to uh, kind of how you heard about Decentraland.
5 years ago. Oh man. I was not doing anything metaverse related, that's for sure. 5 years ago, I was playing video games on let's see, I'd gotten an MSI laptop, a Stealth Pro. It was like at the time, it was literally just come out, top of the line, gaming laptop. Um, love it, not gonna lie, love it.
Hmm.
And so I was playing a lot of that. I was also hosting a lot of parties at this time. Um, Very outgoing, and I was doing a lot of parties. Ended up selling my last house with feet print on the ceiling because really hard to clean off, not gonna lie.
Okay.
Um,
Well, actually, let me pause you right there. How did feet prints get on the ceiling?
so I inadvertently had a week of party. And
Okay.
so one day, I just had like, 20, 30 people over and it was really fun. It was on like a Tuesday, some random, day. And then someone was like, "Hey, you gonna have another party again the next day?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? Sure, I'll have another party." And so I had another party and maybe, it was like 30, 40 people came. And then the next day people were like, "Yo, how crazy would it be if you had another party?" I said, "That would be crazy and we should do it." So I did. And I kept going until the fifth day. It was on a Saturday. And people were like, "Well, it's the weekend now. You have to have a party." And I was like, "You are so right." So next thing I know, I'm having a party. At this point, everybody had been hearing about it. And so now I look around. I remember counting 100 people in my house. I just look over and people are bringing kegs in. It's like, I didn't buy any kegs. Like, where are these coming from? And the next thing I know, I'm upside down. I'm doing keg stands in the middle of my living room. And I'm like, okay, this is a party right now. And I just remember the next morning, and I'm kind of looking around, taking a survey of everything. And I'm like, huh, there are feet prints on my ceiling. How do I clean that?
So
The
you don't
question is, you
even know
don't.
how they got there. That's
I
awesome.
remember seeing people upside down. I remember being upside down, and apparently we have some tall people. So,
All right. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, ceilings are normally like depending on where you are, 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot.
true that.
So lots of parties, lots of games, and somehow you make it to Decentraland. How does it lead up to that? How did you hear about it, and what made you interested?
Well, like I mentioned, I was always playing video games already. You know, I had the gaming laptop, I was getting into the Steam gaming and all that. And I was like, yes, this is super awesome. I was making stuff for The Sims, so like I already knew a little bit about, creation and kind of being part of like a really tight community and, that kind of whole vibe. And this was at the height of, crypto was really going crazy and everyone was talking about it. I think this was just right around the time, Facebook was becoming Meta and all this, and Decentraland popped up as like, this is the one that you want to be in, And I was like, all right, I'll check it out, see what it's about. I did the guy online back in the day and the PlayStation Home when it was a thing, and it kind of seemed really similar to that. So I was like, well, this is pretty cool. I'll jump into this, try it out. So, I made a little avatar. I figured out how to do the MetaMask. Little weird thing about MetaMask, when I got my phone, it actually came with it pre-installed. I had a HTC and it was just one of the pre-installed apps. So like I already kind
Mhm.
of knew what a MetaMask was already before Decentraland, which was interesting. So I was like, I actually have a use for this now.
That's interesting. Does HTC, do they make the Exodus phone?
Yes,
They
they
do.
do.
Okay.
Yes.
Same thing.
So HTC was all in on crypto and Bitcoin and the blockchain, and so they were the manufacturers of that when they were, a top player back in the day. Now, much they sold most of their stuff to Google, so a lot of Google Pixels are really just HTCs nowadays. But I do love HTCs. I wish they were still around.
You model, you do 3D model, you like artists,
Hmm.
artistry work, and were you doing that prior to Decentraland, or
Yeah,
did you learn
yeah.
once you got here?
No, I was doing it for The Sims. So The
Okay.
Sims, if you've never played The Sims, they're super customizable. It's one of the games where they have a very vibrant and active third party environment,
Hmm.
community. There's so much that you can expand on with The Sims. You're in there, you're like decorating your home, you're like, man, I like this couch, but if I had like this other couch, it would be really, really nice. And so you can go and you can find somewhere online that somebody made a couch that you really liked. Or if you're like me, you couldn't find a couch that you really liked, and you're like, well, I can't find this couch, so I'm going to have to make it myself.
Hmm.
And so I started making, items and, furniture and different sort of, knickknacks, decor and such for The Sims. So that's kind of how I got into 3D modeling, just to honestly expand the way that I play my games already. When I found Decentraland and I was like, yo, this is pretty cool. Like you can like create your own NFTs and like own stuff and share it with other people. It was already something I was already doing, but now I get to do it on the next level in the Web3 environment, which is really cool and exciting to be a part of. So Decentraland was like a really cool space for me to want to jump into. So that's kind of how I got started making with Decentraland. That of it is honestly in part because of you, JTV, because I remember being in Wonder Zone and everyone's like, JTV stream started. You got to go watch him. You got to go see it. And I was like, what? Who's JTV? I hated Twitch before Decentraland, and now I'm always on Twitch. I feel like I'm like, all
That's
right, I'm
funny.
doing Twitch. I did not like Twitter before Decentraland, and now I am on Twitter more than I've ever been in my life. And so Decentraland has been doing a lot for me in a lot of different areas. It's been really exciting.
It is interesting that Twitter is used for crypto, NFTs, Web3 content, where it doesn't seem to be a more common option amongst other peer social platforms. And Twitch seems to be more for like Web3 games.
Hmm.
I don't see like the gaming side of Web3 on any other platforms really, other than YouTube, which YouTube kind of covers everything, mainly because they make it somebody else sees it and then it's just like might as well put it to YouTube. It's
Yeah.
interesting how it has picked these like certain platforms where users are using them for that particular content. Well, that's
I
awesome that you
think
could build things in Sims. I actually did not know that. I thought you just had a group of items to use, and then you got to build your house that way. My wife played Sims for a little while. I didn't know. actually. She played it for a little while because there was this person she watched on YouTube that made it look
Um,
like a lot of fun, which it is, or she really enjoyed it. From there, she was making her own stuff. I mean, she wasn't like 3D modeling, but she was using other people's things. So that's really cool to know that you can actually make them there, and that Decentraland gives a similar option, with an exception of it is NFT based. Can you make wearables in Sims that people can wear, or is it just like furniture?
yeah, you can definitely make clothing. I
Okay.
never got into clothing making, and I wish I would have, but that's okay. Oh yeah, that the clothing is a huge section because as much as you can decorate the house, you got to be able to decorate your sim too.
Yeah. So about clothes, you made the wrongos
I
shoes.
did.
And I remember that they sold out in 7 minutes or 16 minutes. It was one or the other.
It was really quick. I was surprised. I was like, "What?"
I remember looking at them. You sent them to me. I said they look kind of backward. I think it was something along the lines of that. And you did some fixes and sent it back. And I was like, they still kind of look backward. I was ready to publish them, as I always am. I do not always really care if it's a completed product before it's out there, because I think it's important that it can be used. And I know that we can update them in the future if we wanted to through with the publishing. So when I did that, I saw them. I was like, they're backwards. I was like, what in the world could we call these? I don't remember who came up with the name, but once we got it and I published it, and it's just like everybody wanted them right then. It was awesome. I
I think it
wish.
was a really cool idea, like it felt like a really fun and inventive area, like it was a cool color, cool concept, and then it was just kind of like, yo, check out this dope swag. And they match with a lot of different things, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I still put them on. I see other people every now and then with wearing them too, and there's only 100 out there, so it's not like there's a ton of people holding them. The people who do hold them have continued to ask, like, "Are you going to add utility to it?" And I'm just like, I don't really know what to add with it, but we will definitely have to find out something in the future for them.
They are athletic shoes, so I don't know, maybe some sort of buff.
Yeah, you're in Decentraland, in Wonder Zone. You hear about me streaming on Twitch. You come in there and you see probably just a mess of a stream going on with just tons of people there. I'd honestly just started streaming at that point. I'd always wanted to, and I felt it
Yeah.
was a good opportunity to start. What was your first impression of the stream from me? Just curious if you can remember that.
Um, so my first impressions were you made it easy to understand what the Central Land was even about. Like I wasn't fully sure. Like I was kind of like I was walking around and I was like, clicking on meteors and I was like, what exactly am I doing? And then you're like, oh yeah, let's look at this, let's look at that. It was really nice to be able to look and just understand a little bit more about Decentraland and what's going on. I would say the fact also you streamed so often consistently, even though it was like in the same area of knowledge, it was different. I like that. I felt like I got a lot out of it, and that's why I kept coming back. Like, all right, we'll figure out Twitch.
I remember doing the same stream basically over and over again. And it was honestly because I didn't know what else to do. And I saw that in Decentraland. It was very frustrating to start off streaming, trying to make content in Decentraland when your options were Wonder Zone or DG or exploring.
Hmm.
DG at the time was like 2 to 4 thousand in NFT, and I'm like, I don't like poker that much. Sorry.
And that's exactly. I don't like poker either, so it's like I'm not playing this.
Right. I had some people delegate it, and I did try it on stream. It was cool. Wonder Zone, after 20 minutes, you just can't play anymore, or you wait for your coins. So it's either you
Yeah.
stand there and talk, or you go and find something else to do, which is what I had to do. And I remember showing other things about crypto related, such as Aave, sending transactions, receiving them, set up your wallet, all these other things. And it did kind of get old for me, but I felt like there were still new people coming in that needed to know that. So I continued to do it. As we get further, I noticed there were a lot of people that were leaving because they ran into the same thing I did. It's just like, what else is there to do? At that point, I talked to Ham and he's like, or I talked to him wondering if we could build some kind of simple game.
Hmm.
And he was like, yeah, I think we can. We kind of started putting a team together to make this work. And then we're like, we're going to make content. I mean, we're going to make a game because that's what it needs. And now that's where we are. You join, you see I'm streaming, you are interested or at least intrigued in the idea. Had you created a wearable for anyone yet? Who was your first wearable that you created for?
My first wearable was myself, actually.
Okay.
So I joined Decentraland around like November 21, I think. I was like, all right, what can I do to make a wearable that people may want that could like sell pretty well, that'd be really popular, something cute, maybe almost a little niche. And I was like, I don't know. And so I targeted Valentine's Day because I was like, all right, it's in February, it's the next holiday coming up, after Christmas. So I made some little Valentine's Day swag. I made a hat and some shoes, the Mazer Cupids and the Cupid's cap. I didn't understand at the time how the marketplace worked. So they got approved, but I didn't put them on sale until like a week later. So they missed the front page. I gave some to different streamers at the time to kind of like give out just to like, oh, hey, enjoy some stuff, because I thought it'd be really cool to like have more wearables for the community because I saw you giving out stuff all the time. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. People can get like some wearables. So that would be really awesome if I could like help contribute to that. That's how I started.
Nice. You still have some of those, right? Are you going to try to get some more out for Valentine's?
I hope so. I actually updated the textures for them about 2 weeks ago. I'm waiting for them to be reapproved so that the new textures can come in, but they look a lot better. So everyone that has them currently will get updated to the new textures, which are like really, really pretty looking. And then it'd be nice to maybe put something else out there to match them. But for now, I do still have them. They'll go on sale pretty soon if I hopefully they can be reapproved.
It
But
should be reapproved. What did you tag or the committee member curator that originally
I
did it?
did. So I tagged them, I sent them a DM, but they haven't been on in a little while, so I'm just like
Who is
waiting.
it? Is it Chestnut Brews
No,
or
it's VR glitch.
oh shoot, I'm not even sure if he's still curating. Honestly,
I
I'd
don't
probably
know.
tag Chestnut Brews and probably Yannicus. I don't think Malloy or Malloy is doing that anymore. He might look at it, but I would tag those two. I know that I feel like they're still active.
Yeah. And so that's kind of like where I feel like I've been falling flat. 'Cause I'm just like, yeah, man, like this would be super awesome if these could, get reapproved soon because they look really nice, not gonna lie.
Right. They should definitely add a feature in there that kind of puts it in a line to
Yeah,
be
that can too.
reapproved. The first experience I had with that, I went and changed it, or I went and changed the description.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I did that too, messed around, and it's just like,
Well, it took about a week, and I wasn't in a hurry. It's just a description. And they messaged me back later and said, if you're going to try to get them reapproved, make sure to tag the person or tag an artist. I mean, tag your
mm-hmm.
curator. So each time I've done that, when I've made some changes, I've tagged them, and generally they've gotten it taken care of within about 3 days. The marketplace, that is an interesting thing. It's just difficult. I think that you have people that purchase items specifically out of support for the creator. And then they have items that are purchased because they have a use case of some sort. And it's
Yeah,
very difficult to be in that window. So someone that's just coming in that publishes an item, they will experience a pretty rough first experience because people aren't just going to go buy it just because it's published. And it also costs quite a bit to even get it done. But anyways, you've been in Decentraland for a while. You kind of get your feet on the ground. From there, what did you start working on? And then what are you working on today?
So after I published my Valentine's Day collection, I want to say I was watching your stream. You put out a call for like partnerships to be able to kind of help with that visibility and getting, designers that might not have the time or perhaps like the resources to be able to properly market themselves, in all the way that could be done. And so I was like, this would be a good move, I feel like. Like I can, make the stuff, and then I don't necessarily have to worry as much about trying to get discovered because there will be an outlet in that way. So I message you and I'm like, hey, it'd be really cool to be a part of this. And it was through that the Rongos came around because you were like, cool, well, I'm gonna give you a test, make me something. And you were like, well, I was like, well, what do you want? And you said shoes. So we had a talk, made you those for the Rongos, and they went along really well. And so then we made the jersey and the shorts to go along with it. So we had a whole nice fit. So that was really cool. From there, I was working with Wisher Vodka around the same time, and I made their scene for them, their land. So they wanted, a new building, new, for their two parcel estate. So spent some time with them on that, and that was really fun, really cool, and exciting experience to work with Wisher Vodka. I made some wearables for them as well, in addition to their scene. I made some other scenes after the verified creators registry popped up. I've been contacted. I've made some small scenes here and there, and that's been really fun and exciting. But the main project that I've been working on recently has been Exodus Goodbye World, which anyone that's familiar with your stream should be familiar with. I do scene design and some of the front end coding for that, which has been a wonderful, fun challenge. It's been super, super exciting, and that takes up some good portion of my time. But I do have some other small projects that I work on as well with the CBD group, the Community Builders Discord. And of course, I'm always available through the VCR. Basically, Access takes a lot of my time at the moment.
It's definitely a lot of work.
It
I re-
is, but it's so exciting.
I remember when I was doing that, there were actually a lot of people that signed up for it to get started. And the reason that I had actually asked about shoes was I'd spoken to different people and I had them all make different items. So it wasn't all just one particular one. When they each one made them, they worked. I had a couple people that actually didn't even make something that was, it could not function in Decentraland properly. So that kind of answered the question for that. But I did set it up and narrowed it down to 3 people, and all three of those work with Exodus now. But I remember the reason that I set it up, where there were so many people asking for items to be made, and the issue was they couldn't find the artist. My thought was, if I make a place, especially considering there were hundreds of people always seeing something that I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
if I make a place that says, hey, if you want a wearable published, come here, tell us what you want, we'll make it, or you can buy these pre-designed items that are ready to be published today, which actually the file was in there, the GLB. If they had made a purchase, they would have immediately had the GLB. They could have gone and published it within the next 5 minutes. I found that that didn't work out very well. And it was also at the time when we were losing a lot of traction in Decentraland. The fee was a killer. At the time, it was 100 mana. Mana was probably $2 or $3. Most people that have published items, from my experience, did not even recoup $300. So
I
for
have
them to
no.
want to do that, plus the designer fee, and everything. It was very difficult for them to justify that, which I think came into the biggest problem for people wanting to buy pre-made items. Although there are a group of people that probably make the majority of items that are being published now. As far as Exodus goes, that has been quite a project. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a very long road, and there's still such a long road to go.
It's been full of twists and turns. I, for a while, dreaded turning on your stream. So I'm like, what is he gonna put on the plate today? You know, be watching it, and next thing I know, it's like, all right, we just created a whole new task. So this is exciting. But it was like super cool, super fun. Like I enjoyed it all the same. You know, it's like, all right, now we got to add this. We get to do this. We get to do that. And it's been super cool because when we first started, it was like we had a 2x2 space that I was supposed to create for, and then it was like actually we're gonna be 5x5, and then it was a 7x7. I was like, what? This is cool. Now we're coming into a 10x15. And it's just like, wow, the pace has been really mind blowing, and it's the insight of what really goes into a game has been really eye-opening, and it's all the little granular things that you really don't think about, when you're playing Skyrim or Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty or something like that. It's all the little stuff that really makes and pulls it all together. So it's been really, really exciting and really challenging, but it's been a great, great time.
I remember when it was a 2x2, we were going to put it on the JTV HQ. And then I had a thought in my head of, hey, look, there's plenty of land with nothing being developed on. I'm sure I can get something. I also remember talking a lot on stream, which I have learned quite a bit from holding my tongue on those things. I do remember making the game. My problem that I had with that was that's where a lot of ideas were coming from. I didn't know what to make. I knew that we wanted to make a game. I just didn't know how far we could go, which we were
Hmm.
originally just going to make a wood chopping game. Like you chop, it's just going to be like Wonder Mine, but you chop
Yeah.
a tree and then you go from there. And then we expanded a lot further with more options. But overall, it was just like, this sounds fun. Let's try to do it. And then it's just like, hey, look, we already have what we're trying to make. Please don't change the plans while we're doing this. So after several of those conversations with Ben, I was like, okay, I'm going to zip it, try not to throw anything else in there, and I will speak more of these would be cool ideas to have. Let me note them down to talk about later.
Yes.
That was
I'm
that
glad
that was
that
a
got
lot of
through.
fun. Moving forward, I would like to know your opinions on the Decentraland DAO and the current state of it, and also any opinions that could be a potential improvements of it.
So, to a small extent, I try not to be too deep into the politics of it, but I am delving deeper into it just because I do want to understand it a little bit more. I want to be more involved, and I want to be able to make the Decentraland DAO as a whole better. I think right now it's in a precarious place. It's on the cusp of being great or bad. And that's kind of scary, but I do believe it's leaning towards good. So that's exciting. I think that right now, especially because we're in the crypto bear market, so right now it's a lot of the ride or dies that are in the community. It's really kind of maturing and understanding itself and what it wants to become and how to move forward. So that's been exciting to see. There's been a lot of great progress, I feel, in the last couple of months in really trying to organize this decentralized platform, which almost sounds counterintuitive, but it's not. Just making sure that it runs smoothly. And so that's been really, really nice and exciting. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I think.
It definitely is something that needs to run smooth and people get a good perspective of when they first see it, rather than just seeing a political war field between
Hmm.
a few people that look like they're just defending something rather than trying to play the offense and get things made. Overall, there's just a lot of people that seem to be playing more defense.
Yeah,
So it's good to have that positive aspect of to it, a more offensive way toward the DAO of, if it's a good project, if it'll help build the platform, then let's go for it. If it doesn't, then leave it behind. If it has to do with opinions based on personal preference, I don't think that should get in the way of the development.
definitely
Uh,
not. But I mean, even just real life politics, within governments, that's how it works. Your
Unfortunately,
personal biases, they do get in the way, and it's really difficult for a lot of people to work around that and leave that out. I hope with enough of the proper processes in place, it will make it in such a way that it can negate a lot of that just through the process itself.
hmm
It just doesn't allow for it, which would be nice, but getting there, of course, takes a biased way,
yeah,
interestingly. So we'll see how it comes along. I'm hoping in the future, I can be more involved myself, and I can be pretty unbiased.
yeah. What do you think of the current state of Decentraland in general?
It's kind of like duplicitous because part of me feels like it's just kind of like this little fringe thing that, a couple thousand people play, and it's cool. But at the same time, there's a lot of big name companies and actors that are actually in the space and actively marketing in the space. I just saw Doritos is about to have an event on the next couple of days. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. We have our the Meta Trekkers, the Fashion Weeks. That's really cool. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on. It is simultaneously active and not active, which is really interesting.
Hmm.
And I think that just comes from the sheer scale of how Decentraland is versus how many people are actually using it at once,
Right.
which is kind of odd because I think if you get more people using it at once, it'll feel more full, even though it is already pretty good. It's kind of like, just like the DAO, it's in a place where it could be either great or bad. And it's
Right.
just kind of in that center as it figures itself out a little bit more. And I think it still can. I think it's leaning towards being better. They just got to get it down right.
I think based on the promotions or partnerships with these large companies that already have a good reputation, like Doritos, I think that they play a potential great role in promoting Decentraland in a positive way rather
Yes.
than a scammy way. I think a lot of people see NFT, Web3, Metaverse, crypto, blockchain. A lot of people get turned off by the idea. I think if Decentraland and groups in Decentraland partner with well established brands that are trusted to come in and do an event, I think that will be a huge success toward getting new users that feel that, okay, I'm going to connect my wallet here, or I'm going to go out of my way and try to make a MetaMask and I'm going to sign in because I've seen that these brands have said this is legitimate in a way by being a
Mhm.
partnership with them or a promotion through them. And now people are like, okay, it does seem like it's legitimate. Let's just see what it's about. I think over time, that'll play a major role in it, as well
I,
as Web3 education and information goes. A lot of people don't really understand the use or how to use a wallet in the case for signing transactions. And even if it's trustable to sign those transactions, similarly to our parents that were setting up emails in 1990 2000 when they were getting AT&T internet and they automatically got an email, they didn't really know how to use it because it didn't make a lot of sense to them. Well, they may have known how to use the email, but
yeah.
when it came to signing up for something, it's like, why am I going to use my email? Let me just make a username and password. But
Mm-hmm.
the email added an option where, hey, if you forget it, it's easy to have this authentication to say, hey, we'll send an email there. And if you can access that email, then we'll let you log in. And then they went on from there. And now everything needs an email. You don't just type in your username and boom, it's there. Choose an email, then you choose a username. So I think the same way with Web3 options of connecting a wallet is probably on the same
Well,
education level as it was in
yes
early
and
2000.
no. I think it's just because the inherent part of a wallet is that it is its security level, and that most people aren't responsible enough to be that secure. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that if you lose your seed phrase, which many people do and will continue to do, you lose access permanently to your wallet. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you have a lot of stuff in there and you lose it, then it's gone. And that scares a lot of people because a lot of people are
Right.
like, well, I lose my phone just every day. How am I supposed to remember this? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely see how that is a huge barrier. And without being able to kind of overcome that in some sort of way, I do feel it'll be a struggle for it to broadly catch on in a mainstream way. There has to be some sort of way, even if it takes a lot of steps, to be able to get your account back.
Right. I think something that is beneficial toward it, it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. And I think there's not enough education on it for people to really know how to do it. And it's also very
Hmm.
complicated, is to delegate permissions to another wallet. By doing that, you say, hey, I have this item. You can tell this wallet that it has permission to send that or use that or sign that for it. And then they could leave that in a safe place. But you also have to think is, does somebody really want to keep a piece of paper or a USB stick that potentially could be corrupt? Which, by the way, I have about 12 USB sticks and I had three of them that were corrupt, and I can't
Mm.
get anything out of them, which they're all duplicates. But you can't even really trust that. So you want to keep paper, you want to keep a USB stick. You're not supposed to keep it on your computer. So, where the hell are you supposed to keep it? And I think that someone who solves that problem will really be the door to a mainstream option for everybody, where things can be recoverable by the owner and not everybody else.
If we can solve that, we'll be millionaires.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be the ones to solve it. But
Hey,
maybe
never
we'll do
say
it by
never.
accident. I mean, here's the thing, okay? We're building a game. We have to have people sign in with a wallet, and we need a secure way for them to use that wallet or to potentially recover their accounts if for some reason they can't. And if we just run into it, we're just like, hey, look, we're having this problem, and we're just like, you know what? Here's a solution. Why don't we just push this? And then it's out there, and then those types of things could happen. It might, I'm not gonna. I take it back. I won't say never. It's a possibility. It's just a very low probability.
It is. I definitely don't have the wherewithal to be able to create something like that. I have an idea of how it would work, but I don't have
Right.
that.
Well, here's the thing. Actually, Ben and I were talking about this. We were questioning whether we should recover accounts for people that either had their seed phrase compromised or they couldn't access their account, but we could verify who it was. Which the only reason I could verify who they are is because I know them. They played, and they just say I can't get in, and I already knew that was their account because I had already talked to them. Whatever. Like your account, for example. If your account
Yeah.
was compromised, I would know that's just. I mean, if you forgot your seed phrase, we could just move the information to another account. So we're questioning of should we do this because if we do, we have potentially can move game items with hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, whatever it might be, of work to another account that's not even technically owned by that person. if we don't have a good verification process. Our original response was, hey, it's Web3. If you lose it, you lose it.
Yeah,
Somebody else said, well, what if we just charge a fee for it? That doesn't solve the problem of you might be giving somebody else's account away. Um,
exactly.
but it is a problem that we have that I've spoken a bit to Ben about, and it's something we have to solve. I don't, or somebody has to solve it.
I mean, the only way that I feel like you could do that is for us to also have some sort of like seed phrase, that you give to us when you sign up. It's like, hey, I see that your seed phrase got compromised on your wallet, but what's your seed phrase for us in conjunction with that?
That is an additional authentication. If you claim an item in the merch shop, a Robin Hood hat, a feather hat, a wizard hat, whatever it is, once you claim that and you lose your account, we can't give it back to you. It's gone. If it's a hatchet, we can fix that easy because the other thing's on a public blockchain. So it's
Yeah.
just, it's there.
I mean, and that's, of course, that's the risk. So, I mean, it's not a perfect system, no, not by any means, but at least you get something versus nothing.
Right. There are some options, and it's something to definitely consider the different ones. But we'll definitely continue to search out what could be a solution to that. It seems the thing that we can do today is we can add additional authentication, like you said. We can have a Google Authenticator. We can have a seed phrase for their account. We can have a password or an email or all four of those. And if someone can go through all of that authentication, we would just decide that, hey, that's enough verification that you are the owner. But there's still a slim chance that they're not. That's the worst part. To be one person that and they just somehow managed to get everything compromised. So
And that's what happens sometimes. I mean, nothing in life is perfect. So, I mean,
right.
it is the risk in the end. I mean, and that's exactly how Web3 in itself does work. If someone else gets your seed phrase, they own your account. I mean, whoever has those 12 words
Hmm.
owns the account.
Yeah. I actually have a wallet that I can't get into. I thought that I saved the seed phrase, and I went back and I went to try to log in, and I couldn't. It
Oh,
has, I think it has over 1,000 Atom in it, and those are I think $15, 14, $15 a token right now. When it happened, they were like 40. So at the time, it was like a 40K loss. The thing is, I have the hard drive that is not corrupt. It was a hard drive that had Windows on it. I
mhm.
lost Windows on it, and I had to install it on a new hard drive. I remember bringing it to the computer store, and I told them, I said, look, please, can you put Windows back on that hard drive? And they tried, they could not do it. They could not fix it. So they said, we can do it on another hard drive. I was like, okay. And they said, do you want the old hard drive? And I was like, yes, please don't do anything with it. Is there, just give it back to me. Okay. And I actually have the file. Like I can open the file where it is. All the information is there. It's all there. It just doesn't open the interface when I click on it. It instead installs a new interface because it is a new Windows on a new hard drive. So I don't think I've technically lost it. I mean, I've technically lost it, but I don't think that it's at a point that it's not recoverable. I just haven't ran into someone that would put the time in to figure out how to recover it.
I feel like that's a worthwhile endeavor.
It is. The thing in my head though is just let it sit there. And because if I had it right now, I guarantee you I'd sell it all and dump it all into Exodus. Would that probably be the best option? Maybe. Probably would. Uh, I just know if I do that, I will. And I also know this particular token. I purchased that token. I put it in a wallet. that I wasn't planning on selling. And I just believe in that particular project. And I know if I pull it, it will, I'll sell it. And if I leave it in there, either goes to zero, or I think it will be potentially worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just my opinion about that. That's all. That's kind of where I'm sitting on the line at.
I see, I see. Well, yeah, you know what? Diamond Hand.
Actually, I heard this a while ago. It was with what's it called? Dang it, I don't remember the name of it. They took a survey. They said their investors with the highest performance were either dead or they forgot their password. As Fidelity, I think they put that report out.
That's hilarious. They just got it, left it, didn't touch it.
That's the best ones. When you mess with investments, it seems like that is the worst thing to do.
That's hilarious. Trust your initial guts, guys. Not financial advice.
Going forward here, what do you think about the metaverse? Where do you think it's heading? What does that look like?
It looks very similar to what it looks like now, but it'll be more interoperable. I
Mhm.
know that right now someone wants to own the metaverse, Mark, and that's okay, but it's not going to work because that's antithesis to what it's supposed to be. Until we get more of that interoperability and people understand, figure out how to make their money within that instead of trying to own it, it will be better. I think we're still maybe 5 or 10 years away from like true metaverse,
Mhm.
world. But I definitely think that we're getting closer and we're, taking those nascent steps to be able to get there. I'm still bullish on it for sure, but it's just kind of taking its time right now. So I think, getting in on the ground floor now is worth it. And if we stay committed, it'll pay off.
One thing that I've been thinking about is gaming in the metaverse. And I've been trying to find how it could be added to AI. Combine them both together, and what do you get? I've been considering the ideas, and it just came to me about this. What if we had, well, it came to me because you mentioned interoperability. What if you had a group of people? Take an example of somewhere like the App Store, where they host everything for you, and or they don't host everything for you. They just have it there, and people can download and use it, and then you pay a large fee. So when it comes right, when it comes to that, metaverses have their own criteria. For Decentraland, as an example, you must fit in these particular guidelines to create in the public world of Decentraland. You can change it if you're on your private land. For the most part, I think people will want the public aspect of it. If we go to gaming, it would not surprise me if a company comes out and they make game assets of a very large variety and make code bases of a very large variety of use cases for a game. Could be shooter, could be hacking at a tree, could be fishing, all these different options. And people could go to that source that's already made for that metaverse, grab an item, use the program, use the SDK, simply combine it all together, and make their own variation of a game based off of that. And there would be enough different options out there that you could make millions of different types of games with it, and they would, well, they'd all be different. And when you say Unity has that, do they just have a ton of assets you can just go get, and you can just throw them in there and make a game, and they already have the program, you throw it in there and boom.
So another game that's popular on Decentraland, Knights of Anstrom, I believe they use Unity assets in their game, which is how they are able to scale up so quickly. and Unity has a large variety of assets available to use for any sort of games or what have you that are pre-made. There's enough variety that it can be different, but you can still have a bunch of different types of games. So you can modify on top of that if you want to, but yeah, Unity.
My question about that is, how do you scale them to where they fit? If you went and grabbed a Decentraland character,
Hmm.
threw it into another metaverse, which there's not really any other out there, they wouldn't necessarily fit. Like, the dimensions would be different. The
Perhaps so. I mean, you
size.
might have to make some small alterations or tweaks here and there, but depending on where it's going into, I mean, that won't be super difficult. And then again, if you have a lot of options to start from, I'm sure you can find something similar.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, cool. I described Unity. Somebody already did it. I think it would be. I think it'd be beneficial though. Maybe if it's not Unity, maybe if it's just another company that's specific to Sandbox or Decentraland. When the other side Metaverse comes out, which I'm excited to see what that looks like and where that goes.
Yeah. I'm unfamiliar with that one.
The other side Metaverse.
Hmm.
It's the Ape Club people.
Ah,
They're making a Metaverse.
Hugo Labs, right? Or
Yeah.
they is yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're making that. I thought it was supposed to be launched middle or late last year. Maybe I'm getting my times mixed up and it's supposed to be middle of this year. I feel like it was July or August is the date that is in my head,
You
whether that was
know,
2022 or 2023.
it's hard for me to keep up with all of them, not gonna lie. Like I own Space in big time and I've yet to play it, and I feel bad about that. I'm like, I should go see what I bought.
They're doing a lot over there. I
It's
think
what I
that
hear.
that has a lot of potential. I know they're working on it very, very hard. I've played it several times, but I just can't really get into it. I can't get
Yeah.
into, maybe it's just the dungeon side of it. You go fight these creatures in the dungeon and you're done. It's just not my type of game, I guess. But I'm not
Hmm.
gonna like. I still think it's a good project, but just because I don't necessarily enjoy that particular type of experience, I'm not gonna say anything against it. I think they're
For
working
sure, for
hard.
sure. I mean, it seemed like a really cool concept, and it's definitely seemed like something I would enjoy playing. I just, I just don't have time.
Another question: why do you think most gamers are turned off to the idea of NFTs?
I think it's because it reminds them how much they hate microtransactions.
If they hate microtransactions so much, why do most games have them?
Because they're easy and people don't like them, but they like them.
So the answer to that is they don't like microtransactions, but these companies already make really cool games that suck them into doing it. But they
Yep,
hate the idea, so they're going to bash on something that they're going to think that they'll never get into. That's interesting. I, I, here's what I think it is. My opinion. This might change later. I think it has to do with the mentality and the narrative that games or gaming companies have pushed on the players. Real world trading is what they call it, and it sounds bad. You hear real world trading, you're like, they've broken a major law of
hmm,
gaming, and you should never do that. The thing about it is, you're already real world trading. You're buying an asset from a game for money that you can never ever get back again, at least without breaking their terms of service. I think with that narrative, it's slowed people down from trading outside, and it provides a much higher revenue source to those gaming companies. And what makes me think of that is RuneScape. I have a friend that knows friend from 2011 to 2020. I think that was the years. He made or claimed to have made $800,000 trading currency in RuneScape. So he would take these trades. He would buy gold in the game for X currency. He would sell it for more. It's basically like flipping, but with a game currency that was illegal for their game to do that. They try to stop that because they lost a lot of money. I mean, if you think about it, if someone went out of their way and spent a group of people or a large over a period of time, spent $800,000, that company missed out on nearly $1 million that they should have gotten if there wasn't that option. And
Yeah.
it also surprises me that these games don't just make that route for the users. Be both. Be, hey, look, come to us, you can buy it here. Or we're going to
Well,
be
when
this, we're just not
profits
going to tell
are the
you.
end goal,
It's
I
right
mean,
here. They might be breaking their own rules. But the thing is it takes revenue away from games. And I think that that's a big problem for them. And they have combated that for decades.
it does take revenue away from games, you know, because it puts it, yeah, it's you say directly to the people and the consumers, and that is not very capitalist, you know, like we have to make money, and if we're literally leaving money on the table, why would we do that? The shareholders don't like that, so I can understand that. I also think that for some people, the idea of NFTs, and it comes back to interoperability, where it's like until I can buy an NFT gun in Call of Duty and then use it in Fortnite, I think that throws people off as well. It's like, well, aren't these, you know, like I own this item, why can't I use it wherever I want to use it, you know? I think that would be really cool. Um, and be like the real next stage and great utility of what NFTs could actually be and
Mhm.
what, you know, I think they could or should be, you know. Because I mean, sure, you know, because otherwise it's just companies leaving money on the table. Then it's like, well, yeah, you know, Call of Duty could have a in-game solution where you can sell your gun to another player, you know, or if it was an NFT, you could go out of your way to sell your gun to another player. But then that's, you know, that's still it's just you within the game in itself. It's not you're not leaving that world or anything like that. But if you
Mhm.
have this gun and then you own it and then you sell it to another person, but they don't play Call of Duty, but they play Fortnite, and they're like, yo, I'm gonna go use this gun here. Now all of a sudden you have great utility. You have a use case for an NFT and for having, you know, something that is outside of one area that makes it more useful.
Yeah. Just to play devil's advocate here,
Hmm.
why would Fortnite and Call of Duty want their weapons to be interoperable?
Well, they wouldn't because if I have interoperability with that, it's like, well, if you're playing Call of Duty, you're not playing Fortnite and vice versa, of course. And it comes down to the opposite of that, where is if you're not playing Fortnite, you're playing Call of Duty and vice versa. And so it can open up a gateway in another way where it's like I only play Call of Duty, but it's like, well, hey, I have this gun. Like it's really cool in Call of Duty, but it's also really cool in Fortnite. You should try it out. And all of a sudden now you have this Call of Duty player playing Fortnite, and they're both making money now at this point instead of only one.
Hmm, interesting.
Mhm.
So you think that it will share the user base or
Yeah,
they will attract one versus the other?
it'll be a mixture of both, but overall, it would share the user base. Because now it would be like, oh man, you know, these Call of Duty players suck, but it's like, I'm great on Fortnite, you know, so you could be on Call of Duty talking all this trash. You'd be like, all right, you want to talk all this trash? Meet me in Fortnite, bring your FMJ, you know, and be like, boom, there it goes.
Mm-hmm. Or shotgun.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. interoperability, like, well, here's the thing about that is it's possible. All they have to do,
Oh, definitely.
here's the thing about it, especially with public chains, is they sell the item and that item is on chain. The picture of it, the GLB, the thumbnail, it's not.
Hmm.
It's just it's just a contract. It's just numbers and letters.
Yeah.
When you add it into, for example, Call of Duty or Fortnite, you have a designer from Call of Duty make it on there. You have a designer from Fortnite make it on there.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of who gets the money when it's purchased. But
Yeah.
here's one of the biggest things that I think gaming companies should consider is the royalty revenue option. Because you can make these smart contracts where there's a percentage of royalty on every transaction. So imagine, or which I wonder which one's more profitable. If a company makes it so they can sell an item to someone, but they can't trade the item, or if they sell X amount of an item to someone and then allow those people to trade them back and forth. And where that value comes in is forever you're making money. If you put a skin out there, for example, maybe a season 3 or 4 skin that they came out with that they sold, they're probably not selling many of those anymore. They're not making
Hmm.
much money on it. But if those season 3, season 4 items were discontinued, they would be making money off of every person that wants to trade the item. And they'd
Yeah.
be making that 10 years from now. Like they're probably not going to sell a new skin or two from last year on their marketplace because people won't just want it. It's just going to be a flooded infinite market. But that's also to say that if they'll still be here in 10 years. Call of Duty's made 20 different games
Right.
or different, yeah.
So imagine a use case of NFTs this way. I'm a huge racing game fan. I love to do that. Imagine I go to Porsche's website and I buy a 911 NFT. And with this NFT, I could go and load up Gran Turismo and it checks and be like, hey, we see you have the 911 NFT from Porsche. Now I get to drive the car in Gran Turismo. Then I go and I load up Forza and it's like, yo, we see you have the 911 NFT. You get to drive the car now in Forza. Now we
Mm-hmm.
have a use case where that's one NFT gets me a car in multiple games.
Who makes the money on that?
Porsche would make the majority of it because they're selling it directly. They would have to have, I would assume, in a part of the licensing dealer, since the Gran Turismo and Forza in these examples, they would already have to license the model use for these cars anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be whatever they paid Porsche to, do that already. And Porsche just gets an extra cut on top because now they're going out of the way.
Yeah.
However, what's happening now is say you have someone that's really into this certain model of car, they go to purchase both of these video games perhaps because they can use that car in both these games and they already have it unlocked. They don't have to work for it perhaps in a way, or they can if they want to, what have you with this and that. So it's just kind of a little something interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting. Another option could be to for players that want to use their NFTs in a game, they subscribe. If you want to use your cars in Forza, if you want to use your gun in a different FPS, all you have to do is say, "Hey, pay $5 a month. You can use all of them that you want." And if you don't, then you can't use them because it makes sense to have that. And you might not want to use it on 5 different games. You might not play those 5 games, but they all
Yeah.
5 might offer it. That's interesting. I do see. I like the information on interoperability because I continue to be questionable about it, and those options make sense. And I think that companies want to make partnerships with games that won't get revenue otherwise in that particular side of things or industry for it. I was scrolling through TikTok Sometimes I'm embarrassed to say I use that mainly because of the all the things I've heard about it. But anyways, I'm scrolling through it and Ninja pops up. Okay, so everybody knows Ninja plays Fortnite, and I see this character, and you know what kind of shoes that they're wearing? That's what brand it
Hmm.
was. Well,
Were they Adidas or
Nike,
they're Nike?
Nikes.
Nike.
Okay, so and those shoes you can go buy them online. Okay, and I looked at them, and I'm like, damn, Nike is selling their shoes twice. And all they had to do was partner with Fortnite.
Yeah,
And they're selling them, Fortnite's selling them with the character. It's not just the shoes, you get the whole character, I think, for $20 or however much. And they're probably getting somewhere between $1 and $5 per cut. And I
yeah.
bet you that they sold more of those in the game than in real life. It would not surprise me
I
one bit.
bet they probably did, honestly.
That's powerful. And there's no reason for a company, especially a designer company that makes apparel, to not do that. And their brand, their logo, their name is everywhere. You see them.
Yep.
You log in, you play, you see a guy's wearing Nike shoes. It's the guy with the Nike shoes. He's 1 HP. Okay. So, anyways, I think that's awesome.
That is awesome, and like it's honestly it's the next step of one advertising and two like the monetization of the metaverse, and that's where that interoperability really comes into play, where it's like, yeah, you're playing Fortnite in these Nike kicks, and it's like, all right, well now I want to go run around in Grand Theft Auto in these Nike kicks too. Can I please? You know?
Yeah.
And
Why
then boom,
not?
next thing I know, I have them in real life.
You know, it would not surprise me if eventually these companies actually pay the game companies to put them in, like an advertisement, like you
Oh,
said.
definitely.
It's like, hey, look, 10 million people over years of time will probably see that item if it's
Yeah.
in a game like Grand Theft Auto or Fortnite or Warzone, which it'd be really weird if you had a Warzone Nike tennis shoes in there. But could you make a shoe that could fit the theme? And people would also it would also fit the theme of someone that would just wear it as well. I mean, like a pair of boots, or
Well, imagine you're playing Call of Duty and you're watching your guy run around and there's a Carhartt logo on the back the whole time. Boom. You're like, dang. Next time you go, you're looking for a coat. You're like, yo, I know this logo. That's what I want.
yeah, I saw it in a game. And here's the thing:
Yeah,
is most people play games, whether it
exactly.
is on mobile, PC, Xbox, PlayStation. I mean, my father-in-law is 60 plus, and he's got a PlayStation 5. He plays on it. And it's just
Nice.
like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what age you are. From whenever you can get a tablet or whenever your parents allow you to get a tablet, um, to dying, you can play these people play these games today.
They really
And
do.
it's funny because boomers have always hated games. And
Oh, they love them
now
now.
they play them because they can see that it's enjoyable. And I think that they got to the point where it was okay, I'm not playing because I'm lazy. I'm playing because it's fun. I have time. I have an hour in my day. I'm going to go do that. So, that changed the narrative. And I think just about with everything metaverse, crypto, Web3, NFTs, I think that this narrative will change over time in a similar way after you get through all the bullshit of scams and Ponzi's and
Yeah.
shillers. It's just going to take a while, and followed by these reputable companies come in and test the area. And then they make reputable games that people want to play. And then I think that you see these partnerships, which back to Decentraland, partnering or doing a promotion with Doritos, that's the same thing. I saw Domino's as well. I
Really?
saw, yeah, there's I saw a Domino's T-shirt. I mean, unless
Nice.
someone just snuck in an NFT with Domino's logo on it, then it's. I'm sure they had some type of promotion. I
No, I
wouldn't.
believe it.
I
You
wouldn't
know,
think
like
they would let that through.
I rock my Miller Lights gear. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Miller
You know, I
Lite, I have
enjoy
that
it.
too, and it's the best. It's the best idea ever. And here's the thing: is it's that constant thing of, okay, you saw Miller Lite. Miller Lite made it. Hundreds of thousands of people saw it. You saw Doritos. You saw Domino's. You saw Walmart there. I don't think that Walmart was actually made by Walmart in that particular instance, but you have all these things coming in, and it's just amazing at what can happen and the reasons behind the importance of those promotions.
It really, really is. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's about mind share.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
kind of get
Well,
it.
I'll tell you, Epic Games is leading the way in the Web 2, um, in the idea of that Web 3 wants to be in.
Definitely, definitely, I would say so. You know, I know that they're having, their little shows and concerts. They got, a lot of, associations going on. So they're doing a good thing. So
Hmm.
more power to them.
They are. And they got every basketball player, every soccer player, every jersey number.
Bro, when I saw Goku with the AR, I couldn't believe it. I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh, yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I want to know. I just want to know what the conversation looks like. It's like Epic Games has their guy. They message him, say, "Hey, look, we want to do a partnership. We're gonna put Goku in here. Y'all okay with that?" And I just want to know what the conversation looked like.
I do as well, because somebody had to say, yes, we're gonna put a gun in Goku's hands.
That's right.
I'm like, what? Next thing you know, I'm gonna be getting shot by like Mickey Mouse and be like, what in the world?
Do you know what? I'm surprised that's not in there yet. Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Their
He is
rights,
open
it
domain.
yeah,
Yeah,
they should do that. I mean,
that'd
why
be
not run
hilarious.
around as Winnie the Pooh with an AR popping kids?
Oh, you don't want this, honey.
Oh wow, that's funny. You don't want this, honey. Pow, 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 pow. It's got to come
Uh,
eventually. They got to run out of
it
ideas
has
at
to. I
some
can't
point.
believe it hasn't been done already. I mean, they definitely pushed the limits on that stuff, so I don't see why not.
Yeah. So we can use Winnie the Pooh, right? We should do that.
Without the shirt, yes.
Oh, you can, why can't you have the shirt?
Winnie the Pooh is open domain, but Winnie the Pooh with the red shirt is Disney.
How long do they have that? You might. I mean, you probably don't know if that'll be
I
it.
don't know off the top of my head, but
It
I want to say probably at least another decade.
Yeah. It didn't come too long after that though. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Epic Games is gonna wait for this shirt to come out.
probably. Yeah.
And what they should do is they should sell the regular Winnie the Pooh, and when the shirt comes available on the open
Oh
domain,
my gosh.
they can add another one, and they'll get two sales off of Winnie the
They
Pooh.
really would. They'd be like, yo, Winnie the Pooh and then like Blood Pooh.
So for something like Goku, they also have special item that they present with that, where you use this thing and you like blast this
It's
like,
Kamehameha.
yeah, that's right. It would be funny if they did with Winnie the Pooh and it does have a honey and it's actually a grenade.
That would actually be dope. Be like, here's my honey pot. Pow. And like stick some like they can't
Yeah, it
move.
sticks them. It's like poison or something for
Yes.
for like 5 seconds, and it takes you for like 2 or 3 points for a couple seconds. That'd be funny.
That would definitely be really cool, actually.
We're giving Epic Games good ideas.
We are. I hope they use them. I want to see it next season.
Next season. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate the conversation. Are there any questions you want to ask me? And also, if there's anybody in the chat that want to ask questions, now's a good time.
This has been a lot of fun, so I really thank you for inviting me on for the second podcast. This has been really cool, really awesome. Just hanging out, chatting about the Decentraland and life a little bit. So it's been really cool. I don't have too much. I'm just super excited to like keep working on Exodus, keep going, making Decentraland the best it can be, and I'm super stoked about the future, honestly.
Same here. Same here. I'm excited about it. Yeah, I really I wake up and I really enjoy getting to work and getting things done. It's exciting time for me. It's great.